I mean, obviously Paulo Costa's floating around, but I don't know whether he's going to be the immediate next title shot, or I don't know what's happening with that guy. I kind of, as far as the skills in the division go, I think Paulo Costa's probably he's a stick of dynamite. There's no doubt about it. But as far as the technical striking abilities go, I don't think it proves a great deal if Robert Whittaker beats him, as opposed to someone like Till and a Cannonier, a Hermansson, people like that, who have got a very high skill level in a lot of ranges.
Yeah, I'd love to touch on that, Dan, because I saw you were talking about Costa to BT Sport. Actually, it was a great chat, and you mentioned that you think that all three of the guys have got the skills and ability to make Paulo Costa look like a powerlifter, and I found it as a great sort of insight from a guy that knows his striking and a guy that knows, what goes down in the octagon in terms of strategy. For those that kind of saw that quote and might have taken it out of context, just sort of explain what you mean by that. Why do you think that the top three guys would make Paulo Costa look like a powerlifter in the division?
Yeah, I've upset a few people with that. I mean, it was definitely...
there's been a few Twitter things, right? There's been a few Twitter things I saw. You responding to people.
Yeah, it was definitely a flippant comment, of course. I mean, that's open mat is like that. I'm chatting with two mates and we're just kind of talking about the fights, how we see them. I mean, there's no doubt Paulo Costa's a danger to everybody in this division. But the danger he presents is not fight IQ, in my opinion. He's a powerful, explosive individual. He's done a lot of powerlifting in his past, from what I understand, and his game is revolving around the big bang, 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 bang. He can keep thundering punches at you all the time. What I see with Till and Whittaker and Adesanya is an ability to set traps. It's like iOS 2020 compared to Windows 95 in a lot of ways. Like, Paulo Costa's got so many different weapons that are dangerous, but they're dangerous because he's powerful. They're not dangerous because he knows how to apply them as well as the other three guys. And like with Till, I think, like I said, people play down his striking skill set because it's quite basic. But it's basic in the techniques that he uses, but not in the application. With Whittaker, he's got lots of different skills that he can bolt together, that he can expose weaknesses and targets on his opponent. And with Adesanya, we know he's got that. I mean, there's a witchcraft to Adesanya's style, kind of like Anderson Silva, of course, where he can sell you feints. He can use his eyes and his eye line and his feints and his little tiny movements and his subtle footwork, nuances of his game to force you into traps. The danger with Costa is always that bulldozer coming forward with raw power, and obviously raw power is a huge asset in the UFC, in mixed martial arts generally. But you've got to land. You've got to land with force, and with skilled strikers. I always like to think that the skilled strikers are going to be able to find a way of dealing with that power and staying out of the way of it. Every single one of these guys in the division could get knocked out cold by Paulo Costa. There's no doubt about that. But when it comes to a martial arts contest, when it comes down to the actual skill level and the understanding of application, I just see so many flaws in Paulo Costa's game technically. His foot placement, the way he throws his kicks, he throws himself off balance. His choice of shots that don't make any sense a lot of the time. And people are celebrating wins over the likes of Johnny Hendricks, who, when he was fighting at middleweight, he was already retired in his head. I also think the Yoel Romero fight over 5 rounds, I think Paulo Costa would have lost it. Uriah Hall gets backed up against the fence and he breaks mentally. I've just not seen the things that I've seen from the other guys in Costa's game. I'm not saying he can't add those things to his game. I just don't think he's there right now. And why would he be? I mean, what's he, 13 fights into his career? I don't think he's necessarily met anybody yet that is operating on that level of striking ability. As good as a win as Yoel Romero is, it was a close fight, and Yoel Romero is not the most technical of strikers either. I mean, it's flying knees, it's flurries, it's power, it's horsepower backed up with good wrestling technique, which is the threat. I don't. I mean, you know me. I love everybody that gets in there, and I respect everyone that gets in there. But when I'm watching fights, I want to learn something from these guys. I want to be impressed with something. And when I watch Till and Whittaker and Adesanya, I'm thinking to myself, wow, these guys are. I mean, they're thinking under real pressure circumstances and making things work. Whereas Paulo Costa, it's much more like it's an enjoyable fight to watch. It's fun to watch. I'm not learning anything technically. I'm more learning things, incidentally. I'm learning, what not to do, where he makes mistakes, where his vulnerabilities are, those kind of things. As a student, if he walked into my gym, I mean, I could have a whole list of things to work with him. Whereas the other guys, I would feel like it maybe bits and pieces I could tweak and polish. Paulo Costa is much more of he's a raw talent, but that rawness, I think, will be a vulnerability in the future against these higher level strikers.
Do you think it's a situation where he got pushed up too quickly and got to the title shot a little too soon? We've seen it happen before where the UFC's put guys in the position a little bit too quick. Even a guy like Darren Till.
Yeah, Darren Till.
Yeah, I mean, quite possibly. The thing is, who wants to fight him? That's probably the issue that they've got is trying to find someone that will take a fight against him. I mean, he looks like a powerhouse. He looks like he would be a real handful for anybody just because of the way he fights. But I just don't think we've seen him against someone that can really test him as far as the striking skills. I mean, I was hopeful with Uriah Hall because, Uriah's a good striker. He's a great striker, real nice, clean techniques. Uriah struggles when he's under pressure. He struggles mentally. He breaks. We've seen it happen several times in the past. And I think that someone like Paulo Costa, especially, the knees to the groin, if I remember right, probably took a lot out of him. I think Paulo Costa's style was the kryptonite for Uriah Hall. I think someone like Adesanya, Whittaker, Till, even Hermansson might be problematic just because of the way he moves and the submission attacks that he's got. I think these guys could actually start exposing some of these holes in Paulo Costa's game, which a lot of people, according to my Twitter and according to some of the comments I've seen, a lot of people don't see those weaknesses in his game. All they see is that raw power and that threat. And being successful in mixed martial arts isn't the same as being skillful in mixed martial arts. I still need to see lots of developments in his game before I start to feel like I'm learning something when I'm watching him.